Dear learners, in this lecture, I am going to discuss the topic morphophonemics. So in this lecture, we are just introducing the concept of morphophonemics with the examples of English. And in the next lecture, we will discuss the morphophonemics of Urdu Hindi. So here we are just going to understand the concept of morphophonemics with the examples of English. So the term morphophonemics means the interface between morphology and phonology. So that is called the morphophonemics. The interface, the relationship between the morphology and phonology. So it means how the particular sound or the how the particular phoneme is influenced by the associate morphemes, and sometimes how the morpheme is influenced and morpheme has the different realization or different alternates according to the adjacent phoneme. So here the one particular morpheme has the various representation, and these representation are influenced by the adjacent phoneme. Sometimes the phoneme occurs at the preceding phoneme at the position, and sometimes at the following position. So the morpheme has that kind of influence. And in other words, it examines the interaction between the morphological and phonological process and how they influence each other. So that morphophonemic changes typically occur at morpheme boundaries. So it has the different alternation in the sound according to different morpheme, and it has the different alternation in the morpheme according to the different phoneme. So that is called the morphophonemics. So for example, if we have the sound like the example of plural sa, so it has the three representations: sa, za and is. So this representation is influenced by the preceding sound. So in the word cats, this plural morpheme occur as the sa because this sound is the voiceless. So when the preceding sound, the voiceless, so sa occur as sa. And when the preceding sound is voiced in the word dogs, in the word dogs, so it occurs as dogs because this is the voiced sound. So if the preceding sound is the voiced, so sa occurs as za. And we have another example like classes. So when the preceding sound is sa, so it occurs as classes. So it occurs as is. When the last sound is sibilants like sa, za, cha, ja. So this in this environment, the sa occurs as is. That is the is sound. So that is why we are saying this kind of influence and this kind of alternation and this kind of variation happening due to the morphophonemic process, where the one particular morpheme has the different realization because of the different phonological environment, means different preceding and following phonemes. We have another example for morphophonemics like in plus possible. So it become impossible. So the in change into the im because of the following sound pa. So following sound the pa is the bilabial sound. So this alveolar na change into the bilabial nasal, that is ma. So it is called the morphophonemic process. So in which the negative prefix or the negative morpheme in change into the im because of the following sound. So that is the change in the morpheme because of the phoneme. So it is called the phonological condition in the morphophonemics. So a clear example of morphophonemics in English is found in the use of the indefinite article. So in English, sometimes we are using a, that is the article, and sometimes we are using an. So we are saying the an apple, an idiot, or we are saying the a mango, a cat, a dog. So that kind of differentiation occur due to the following word. So in the following word, if the following word start with the consonant like mango and cat, so these words start with the consonant. So this is the consonant, a particular sound. So because of that particular sound, we have the a article. And when the word start with the vowels, like in the word apple and idiot, so in this environment, we are using then an article. So that change occur due to the following sound. So if the following word start with a particular consonant sound, so we use the a article. In the following word, if the word start with the vowel, so we are using an article. So this is also the morphophonic situation where the particular morpheme change from R to N due to the following sound. So in consonant, we are starting with A sound, A article. In vowel, we are starting with the N article. And another example we have like plural sa. So sa has three occurrences: sa, za, and is. So in the word cats, sa occurs sa. In the dogs, sa occurs za. In the judges, sa occurs is. So that is the another morphophonemic condition. So why this occurrence happening? So they are happening because of the this preceding sound. So the ta is the voiceless sound. So when the plural morpheme occur after any voiceless sound, so it pronounced as sa. And when the plural marker or the plural morpheme sa occur after any voiced sound like ga, so it relies as za. And when it occur after any sibilant sound, so sibilant sound are sibilant sound like sa, za, sha, ja, cha, and ja. So these are the sibilant sound. So if it occur after these sound, so it relies as is. We are also adding one e vowel there. So that is the condition, that is the phonological condition, and it comes under the morphophonemics. For morphophonics is the alternation or the relation between the morphology and phonology. So where we have change in the morpheme due to some phoneme at the preceding position or at the following position. So that is called morphophonemics. So the allomorphs, so these are the allomorphs like sa, has the morpheme has three different relations. So these are the allomorphs. So these allomorphs have the different representation in different environment. So that we have discussed. So thus the morphophonemics occurs at the interface of phonology and morphology. So it asks certain questions like why do morpheme appear in different form in different environment? So that we have discussed. So the morpheme cannot occur in the same way in every environment. So like environment means when the particular morpheme occurs after the particular phoneme. So it can take some feature from that phoneme or it will change according to the feature of the adjacent phoneme. Adjacent phoneme means the phoneme at the beginning or at the end. Means the phoneme at the precede position or the following position. So that is called the environment. So why the morpheme has the different representation? It has a different representation because of the it occurs along with different phoneme. So why the underlying representation link these alternations? So underlying representation means the one morpheme we have in our mind. So like the sa, za, is. So these are the uh, we have plural sa. So they are the different representation of plural sa. Sa, sa, za, and is. So the underlying representation in this case is the plural s, but it has the different realization, it has the different alternation in different environments. So how we can connect those representation? So that we answer in this morphophonemics chapter. And what rules govern the transition from underlying forms to the surface forms? So when we have change or transition from the underlying, so at underlying level we have the za morpheme. So in our mind we have the za morpheme. So za has three different representations: sa, za, and is. So za for the plural s. So plural s means we have in our mind like za. So za has different surface representations: sa, za, and is. So these representation that come from the underlying representation za actually occurs due to some rules. So we are going to discuss or define the rules why we have this kind of uh, different surface representation. Rules means we are defining the position of the phoneme. For example, there are certain phonemes that occur before the sa, so it change into the za. And when the certain phonemes occur before the sa, so it change into the is. So that is the adjacent phoneme, which is the environment, which is the phonological environment, and because of that environment we have different alternation. So they all are rule governed. Rule governed means there are some logic, there are some rules, there are some system for different alternation. It is not random that it sometime occurs are, sometime occur is. No, it has certain system, certain rules for these alternations. And there are some irregular uh, changes also in so there comes under the exception. For example, we have for go change into went, and for child it we are making the plural as children, and for ox we are making plural oxen. So in this case we are not, for making the plural we are not using the plural morphemes are. So it cannot go in this rule governed position, but it has only, it is the exception. It has some irregularities. And we have also example of suppletion there. Go went. So the study of morphophonemics is crucial because it reveals the systematic nature of alternation which otherwise appear irregular. So it is very crucial in linguistics, the morphophonemics, because it describes the rules for different alternation in the language. So for example, when we have in our mind, so that is a particular morpheme, like past morpheme ed. So it has different realization in different environment. Like sometimes it occurs as ta, sometimes it occurs as da, sometimes it occurs as id. So in the case of when the last sound is voiceless, so it is occurs as ta. In the word walk, walk plus ed become walked. So it is like walked. And when you have word like play, so play plus ed become played. So it become played. So in this position it occurs as da, but in like wanted, want plus ed, it become wanted. So the ed occurs as id. So these are the different realization of the past morpheme. So sometimes it occurs as ta in the case when the previous sound is voiceless. So it occurs as ta, like walked. When the previous sound or the last sound of the previous word is the vowel, like play. So it occurs as da, as played. When the last sound of the previous word is the ta or da. like wanted or wedded. So it occurs as kid. So that is the rules, that is the system that we are describing morphophonemics. So nothing, there is no alternation, there is no variant in terms of allomorph. So those variant are not random. The variant or the alternation has some rules, some system of occurrence. So that we are defining in morphophonemics. So it explains how the speakers intuitively know which form of the morpheme is used in new context. Like when we are using for cat to make it plural, cats. We are not using za. So for example, if we have the word like dog, so then we are using sa become za. So like dogs. So that is the rule that we already know in our mind. So when we are adding plural morpheme after the dog, so ga is the voice, so it occurs as za, dogs. So that is the system, that the intuition we have in our mind. So it connect between the sound and meaning. So that means the particular sound describe particular meaning. So this sound like the sa, za, and is, so all the different alternation of the sound describe the same morpheme, which is the plural morpheme sa. But at the surface level, they have the three different representation. So sa has three different representation: sa, za, and is. But the meaning is same. That is the plural morpheme. But the sound is different at the surface level. So to understand this concept, first we discuss the earliest structuralist approach. So in structuralist approach, so the Bloomfield started this approach, but basically this structuralist approach started with the Ferdinand de Saussure. But after that, in America, the Bloomfield started this concept in 1933, wrote the book Language. So he emphasized the importance of analyzing the language through observable data. So when we have some data and we analyze the data with some types of rules, not randomly. So if there is some alternation, if there are some variation, and those variation occurs due to some phonological rules, due to some system, due to some rule. So they introduced the idea that the morpheme could have multiple phonological realization, which is the allomorph, and that these alternation followed rules rather than being random. So for example, he analyzed the plural formation as a single morpheme with the predictable variants. So they describe these variants are not random. So the variant of sa, which is sa, za, is, though they are not random, they are rule governed. So there is some certain position, there are certain condition. Because of those environment, those condition, these alternations happening. So after that, Bloomfield, the Hockett also redefined the study of morphophonemics. So he actually discussed the five subtypes of language. So discuss the phonological system, mean the phonemes and their distribution, grammatical system, morpheme and their arrangement, and morphophonemic system, the interface between the phonology and morphology. So the Hockett described in his book A Manual of Phonology the morphophonemic system. So that is the interface between phonology and morphology. So it goes vice versa. There are certain morpheme which change due to the certain phoneme. There are certain phoneme which change due to the certain morpheme because of they are occurring together. And they also describe the semantic system, the association of morpheme with meaning, like how the particular morpheme has certain meaning. Means there are certain morpheme which has a different meaning in different contexts. So every morpheme is meaningful, and there are certain morpheme which are also not meaningful. So they have described all these association between the morpheme and its meaning. Because if you are not describing the meaning of the morpheme, So it cannot be the morpheme because the morpheme is the smallest unit of a language which has meaning. And they also describe the phonetic system, the physical realization of the sound. So that is comes under the phonetic system described by the Charles Hawkins. So Hawkins argued that the morphophonic system is essential because it explains how phonological rules apply to morpheme in a specific morphological context. So they describe certain phonological conditions and the phonological rules or the phonological environment that apply to morpheme in a specific morphological context. So in which the morpheme have different alternation and the variation, and those variation occurs because of certain phonological rules, certain phonological conditions. So that is described under the morphophonic system by Hawkins. So there are other school of thought, which is the generative phonology. So there is a generative linguist, is Chomsky and Hale, and he wrote the book The Sound Pattern of English. So they reinterpret the morphophonemics concept in terms of underlying representation and surface representation. So they describe some phonological rules for the occurrence of the different surface representation. For example, for generative phonologists, so we have the different realization of sa, that is the sa, za, and is. So in these representation, the za is the morpheme which occur at the mental level, or which is the abstract morpheme in the plural for the plural formation. Also, at the underlying representation, we have the za morpheme. So za has three different representations. One is sa, and other is za, and the third one is. And those representation is called, those representation comes under the surface representation. So these representation are not random. So there are certain phonological rules, and those phonological rules described by the generative linguist. So for example, if you have the sa sound, so in certain condition like in cats, the plural marker occur as sa. So this occurrence of sa due to this voiceless vowel, because the ta is the voiceless vowel and this underlying za is voice, so it changes into the voiceless. So the za changes into the voiceless sa. Why? Because of the previous sound is ta, which is the voiceless. So when the za occurs after the voiceless consonant, so that is the ta, so it becomes sa. So that is the devoicing rule. So in devoicing rule, so the voiceless feature uh, will be dropped. So like za is the voiced, so it change into the voiceless. So there are another rule which is the epenthesis. So in epenthesis rule, we are adding certain vowels. So there is the underlying representation is za. So za change into the is. So we are adding the e vowel here after the strident consonant. So the strident consonant means the sibilant consonant, like sa, za, sha, ja, cha, cha. So if any plural morpheme like sa, which has the underlying representation za, so za occur after any sibilant vowel or the strident consonant, so it occur as is. So that is the generative phonologists discuss the rule epenthesis. But in the other condition, when it occurs as za, so it does not change. So in any condition, elsewhere condition, it occurs as za. So za occurs as za, and there is a voiced consonant, like in the word dogs. So in dogs, ga is the voiced. So in this condition, za occurs as za. So this is the uh, concept described by the generative phonologist. So the generative phonologist said thus the plural marker sa actually has the plural morpheme was the represented with abstractly as za. So at the mental level, we have the za morpheme in our mind. So the za has different representation. So za has different representation like sa, za, and is. So sa occur after the voiceless consonant, za occur after the voiced consonant, and is occur after the sibilant consonant like sa, za, sha, ja, and cha, ja. There are another phonologist, or they are the natural phonologist. So the natural phonologists like Wolfgang Dressler, so they describe the morphophonemics or the morphophonology in terms of natural tendency, means the universal tendency of a speech, or in terms of ease of pronunciation, in terms of perceptual clarity rather than arbitrary rules. So, for example, for natural phonologists, for example, for generative phonologists, we are describing the impossible changes into the impossible. So, at the underlying representation, we have impossible in our mind. So, the negative prefix in is in our mind, but it changes at the surface level as impossible. But the natural phonologist does not describe these rules. They are saying that it is the part of the language as the universal tendency or for the perceptual clarity. So it is the natural tendency for the nasal consonant to adopt the place of articulation for the following sounds. So it is not changing by some uh, surface representation, but it is a natural tendency of the rule of the consonant. So if any consonant like in plus possible, so in become impossible. And when we say in plus regular, so it become irregular. It is because of the ease of articulation or the perceptual clarity. If you say irregular, so there is some difficulty in pronunciation. There is no clarity in terms of perception, like irregular. So it become the irregular as the natural. So this is the way of natural use of language. So thus the morphophonemics was seen not only the system of rule, but also the part of broader pattern of the natural language use. So they are not describing the system and the rules for the morphophonemics. So there are certain underlying representation and they apply some rules, and because of those rules there are some changes, and the changes at the surface level. So we have different alternation at the surface level because of those rules and those underlying representation. But the natural phonologist describe that it is the universal tendency, and it is happening the natural language use. So when you are using the language naturally, so it is not going in that particular way. It is the use for ease of articulation for the perceptual clarity.